Yes, it's your vibrant velvet voice, Skywalker Payne. Welcome for another ABCs of Antiracism. And today I'm going to talk about the M word. And to me, the M word is worse than the N word. And the M word is minority. Now, there is nowhere on this planet a group of people who call themselves minority. There's not a culture minority. There's not a country minority. Now, there is in arithmetic and numbers the concept of minority being less than the majority, which is again a numerical determination. However, the United States, which loves to promote noble ideals, which it has a difficult time delivering on, because a country that was conceived with the words that all men are created free and equal and kept slavery for over 200 years and still has not manifested equality, has a lot of problems with dealing with language honestly. So the word minority has been used for almost 100 years to further stigmatize and denigrate people of color, and specifically and particularly Black people. Over 20 years ago, I wrote an article, an essay, which has been published many times, in which I talk about the myth of the minority. There is no minority. Yes, there can be fewer people. There can be fewer people of a certain skin color. There can be fewer people of a certain weight. There can be fewer people of a certain abilities. There can be people who speak a certain language or come from a certain country or culture or practice a certain religion. But call people as they call themselves. I am a Black woman, a mature Black woman. Now, some people want to call me elderly, which in certain circumstances, I accept that I am an elder Black woman. Now, I have friends who are indigenous. I have friends who come from specific native nations. I have family members all who are mixed and choose to call themselves Black. I know people who are differently abled. And I know people who call themselves them or they. But I do not know anyone who calls themselves a minority except Black people and some people of color. And it's interesting because now, since the census has come out and shown what has been known for over 30 years, because when I was in college taking a communications course, I learned that Black people in the United States of America would remain a numerical minority simply because as Black people were getting more educated and making more money, they're having fewer children. Unlike Latino Americans or Latinx Americans or Asian Americans or even Americans from the Middle East. And this has been reflected in this year's census. And what's even more reflected is the growing number of mixed racial people in this country. And of course, the whole concept of race is a lie, but people have to be categorized for some reason for this census and actually for voting. So, anyhow, all this to say is that minority means less than, and there is no need to refer to any group of people as a minority. And please do not use the oxymoron minority majority. You are either a majority numerically or a numerical minority. But you cannot be a majority minority or a minority majority. That's only said to trick up and call up and say, hey, at this point in time, white people are a numerical minority in this county or state or district. And that is what is behind all of these voting restriction laws. But I say, sitting here in Alaska, where Black people are a real numerical minority, but because we don't face many problems with our voting rights or our abilities to vote. And all of these laws that people are making, they have to think about, well, how do these affect the upcoming new minority? Because anything that attempts to cut or limit the rights of anyone in a democracy diminishes the rights of everyone. So we cannot continue to pretend that we are moving forward unless we do move forward. And we must stop using the word minority. And people of color and Black people should really not try and fight over who's the biggest or largest or most needy minority. First of all, we're not minorities. Second of all, we're not needy. Third of all, there are people of wealth and influence of every race and color in this country, including our indigenous peoples. So, yes, the government of the United States, corporations must diversify. And it is better to do it easily and with wisdom and judgment and empathy rather than waiting for anger and violence to erupt because of injustice, which can only be endured but so long. But really, what I wanted to say is that now, in this 21st century, there are wealthy people, people of influence, from writers to politicians, who are in the positions to help raise up, support, educate all people who are suffering, not only in this country, but around the world. But we first have to begin with ourselves, then our families, then our communities, then our states, then this country, then the world. The United States, nor any country, should think that it's their job to rule other countries. But the idea of freedom is a big and scary idea. It's so much easier to use words like majority, minority. caucus and this and all the fancy languages we can use, when what is needed is empathy, compassion, patience, understanding, and coming together in a unified, synergetic way that will help us manifest, maybe even in my lifetime, a true democracy. That's it for today's ABCs of Antiracism. Thank you for dropping by. Please subscribe, review, and share a comment if you want to help support the production of Vibrant Velvet Voice podcast, or to experience an ancestral, racial, or spiritual story healing circle. Become a patron. Visit www.patreon.com/Vibrant Velvet Voice. That's patreon.com/Vibrant Velvet Voice. Your support helps me to keep going and helps us to create compassionate community. And remember, smile, breathe deeply, and be grateful.